What's up, guys? This is Rise, and welcome to another video. You probably, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, been wondering where I've been the last couple weeks, and maybe you saw some of the community posts, but I won my 5th regional championship in Pokemon Go, and what's kind of cool is I've now extended my streak, as people say. It gets said a lot on the broadcast. The casters will say, only person to win a regional championship in every season. And it comes with a little bit of like added pressure and expectation every season because it's a very difficult thing to do, is to win a regional championship. And it almost feels like, you know, it's that there's that pressure, that expectation, but it's something that's been really cool. And it's really cool to have that pressure, that expectation to win a regional and be able to deliver for a 5th consecutive season now. So I went to Toronto, first of all, last weekend, and made top cut, got top 16, and then we went back-to-back weekends competing, traveling back to Dallas very briefly, and then to Mérida, Mexico. Mérida, Yucatan, Mexico. And this is going to be a longer video as we go through the footage. That there wasn't an official stream in terms of commentators and everything like that, big production, but the matches themselves were publicly streamed. So we're going to be able to go through and break them down, and it's going to be a longer video. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be pretty chill, just kind of going through, maybe telling some stories along the way, just me and you. That's right, you watching. So feel free to sit back, pause the video, grab a snack, and yeah, let me take this off. But let's go through this. And like I mentioned, things kind of started in Toronto, where I finished top 16. I really liked my team, but there was some things I felt like were exposed. And one of the main things was the fact that I ran a team that didn't really have a hard check to Altaria. And I wanted to make sure I had a hard check to Altaria on this team. And I experimented. I got back to where I'm from on Tuesday, and only so much time really to build and create a new team. I ended up making a team that was almost completely different. It was 5 different Pokemon from my Toronto team that I did like. And the only common Pokemon was Florges. But Florges, I decided to run a different moveset as opposed to the normal Trailblaze and Chilling Water. And like I said, this is just kind of a chill hangout video. I don't really have a structure here of this format, but I'll make sure to have timestamps for you guys, so you can kind of sift through what you want to see. But I get to Mexico, and I have a day. I get there beforehand because there was a huge winter storm. One of the reasons I'm not making this video until now is because I couldn't get back, but we'll get to that later maybe, because there was a lot of severe weather going on in the United States, in Dallas, Texas, where I reside. So it was difficult, and I ended up changing my flight to get there a day earlier. So I was by myself, and I booked a tour and ended up seeing some pretty cool stuff. So let me see if I can pull this up for you guys real quick. But yeah, how about this? Chichen Itza, I posted this on Twitter, saying sightseeing before Mérida, you know, the day before the tournament, and this was absolutely beautiful. Learned a lot about like the Mayans and the ruins and everything. And there's this cool thing. You should be able to hear this. There's like an echo with the pyramids and the ruins, where you can like hear this cool echo with the sound bouncing off of it. Hear that from the clap? Hear that? Pretty cool, right? I had an awesome tour guide named Rosando, and we had like a cool little group that we were with, and I got some other pictures there. I can scroll through and show you just some of these beautiful ruins, and it was really cool. And we'll get to more of that maybe at the very end of the video. But soon it came Pokemon time, and I got to the venue. I think I was in Group E, so I had a slightly later call time, which was good because I lost my bracelet. And I will say, it is my own fault for losing the bracelet to get you into the tournament, but they made me repay the entry fee, which I was like a little bit salty about. I thought it was like, yeah, it's my fault, but the bracelet just kind of came off. I didn't notice it. And even the replacement bracelet I got ended up coming off, but that time I did notice it, so I was able to just like tie it on my backpack. But I started the day by having to repay the entry fee to the tournament because I lost my bracelet. So I thought that was a little bit unfortunate, but sometimes, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So I managed to have a strong start to the tournament. If we scroll down here to Group E, and just to give you like a little bit backstory, so a lot of things might happen behind the scenes that people don't really know about at these tournaments. And my first opponent was my Emmy official. It was his first ever play Pokemon tournament. He was very new to PvP. And unfortunately for him, I felt really bad, but his first opponent wasn't even here, as you see by this star. And he didn't really know the protocol, so he didn't know to go to his table even though his opponent wasn't here. And he ended up getting issued a loss even though his opponent wasn't here. So he was really distraught over that. I ended up talking with the judges and everything, and with him, and agreed that I would be willing to play him anyway. And like, I don't know, it's just an unfortunate situation. So we ended up playing, but like I was given a 2-0 victory either way, because he wasn't there at the table to show up. So it's an unfortunate situation. I felt really bad. But we played anyway, and I did win 2-0 in kind of the unofficial match that we played, because I was given a 2-0 victory, since unfortunately he didn't show to his table. But once again, I just felt really bad because like it was his first tournament. So I would suggest, you know, if judges, like I'm no judge, and I know it might not be my place to say, but if it's someone's first ever tournament and maybe they're not at the table, maybe like try to do your best to go and ask around, like if anyone knows that person, if they've seen them there, and maybe the judges did, and I'm just, that's certainly possible, but maybe that extra effort so that doesn't happen to somebody else. But that set me up against K1, who is a player I recognize from practice tournaments and stuff, and it was a really competitive game. I remember it's hard for me to recall, honestly, since, you know, it wasn't on stream and it was early on in the tournament. But I remember taking like a relatively convincing 2-0 victory. And then I played Just a Wild Mango. Now, if I go to a beautiful website, DracoViz, and I rewind a little bit of history, rise to occasion. No spoilers yet. Still hasn't been posted, so no spoilers on my results. It's not like I already said it in the intro. But just earlier this season, my first tournament of the season in Monterey, win. And this is Just a Wild Mango, also known as Mongo Ketchum, who beat me 2-1 and sent me to loser's bracket. And not too long later, I'm rematching him in a very similar situation. Winner's round 4, pretty much the same exact round. And here we go against Just a Wild Mango. Now, what happened in this battle was my Caesar was really good, and I'll get into my team in just a second, a little more detail. But my Caesar was really good. And I remember just completely whiffing and throwing game 1 because I was like too nervous. I was scared he was going to catch with he had his Jellicent against my Caesar, and I thought he was going to catch on something. But like, even if he catches, sometimes you got to understand, like, even if they catch, that's fine, because then you can like take advantage from there. So I just like waited expecting a catch and didn't throw my move and threw game 1 in just embarrassing fashion. But I just tried my best, you know, to settle in. And I'm like, I literally had that game 1 if I just played normally. Let's just make things simple. Let's just throw our moves. I win game number 2, and I make a nice read in game number 3, where in the previous game, I had brought my Lapras and my Caesar. He had a Alolan Ninetales on his team. And in this third game, I decided to bring the Guzzlord, thinking maybe I scared off the Alolan Ninetales with my previous line. And what do you know? I ended up getting the Guzzlord lined up against the Jellicent in the back, and that was enough for me to basically win the game. So that puts us in the winners finals of day 1, where we're going to face off against Morato. And they have this cool little setup here. I don't know if picture rise and live rise on screen is too much rise. I probably don't need my face cam here, but that's fine. And before we get into the battles, I just want to take you guys through a sort of delve in on my team. And once again, I'll have the timestamps here if you just want to watch the battles themselves, because I've done a poor job in the past, or editor Chris has done a poor job in the past of not doing timestamps on these longer videos. Oh, bonus egg hatch. This is what you get on the Rise channel. Unexpected content. Bonus egg hatch. Any shinies? Any shinies? Come on. Give me the shiny luck. Oh. Honedge. Metatite. 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 Ooh. Charcadet. The goose is loose. Tepig. Wow, how exciting. But the team is this. And like I told you, I had literally just played in Toronto the weekend earlier, which you almost forget about because you're so focused on to the next thing. But what did I call my Toronto team? I forget. I don't think I called it Toronto. Cardboard Cat 1. This was my Toronto team in disguise. And I really liked this team. I really liked Licky Licky and Empoleon Altaria Core. Everyone knows is strong. And I ran Shadow Malamar on the recommendation of its Axon. Now, one concern I had going into Toronto with this team was I didn't really have a hard check to Altaria. You could pretty much freely swap Altaria against my team. It's not like Licky Licky's that bad. Florges running Chilling Water Trailblaze. You know, it just gets walled with the energy. And Empoleon doesn't like to eat a flamethrower, so it has to rely on the kind of the inefficient Drill Peck. So I liked this team, but the main issue with it was Altaria was like completely free against me, and it just made life difficult. So that was a thought I had going into team building for Mérida. And there was a few sort of factors that went into building this team. First of all, I kind of started with the Gourgeist. Because I felt like Gourgeist was a really solid core breaker in the meta, something that was a hard check to Caesar. And, you know, Caesar is just such an oppressive, strong Pokemon right now. There's not a whole lot of hard checks to it. Talonflame, right, is one. Corviknight's, like, pretty decent against it. You know, Mud Slappers can kind of power their way through it, more so the Gastrodon. But there's not a lot of really hard checks to Caesar, and if you're not careful, it can run through your team. So Gourgeist provides that hard check to Caesar. It also is a hard check to the ground types like Gastrodon and Marowak. Also has play against, you know, fighters. Corviknight against Empoleon. It actually wins that matchup except for the 2-shield scenario, I think. So I like the Gourgeist. One other thing is it can beat Altaria in the 0 shields if you're running enough of a big boy Gourgeist, larger XL, larger XXL, I should say. So Gorg was kind of the spice pick, if you will. I don't think anyone had ever won a tournament running Gourgeist prior to this weekend. And if you're going to be kind of weak to Talonflame, you don't want to run a team where Talonflame's going to run you over. So I made sure to have some coverage for it. That was the main reason I opted for Flat Stanley here as opposed to like a Mud Slapper, is because it has a really nice time against Talonflame to protect my Gourgeist. Guzzlord as well is like one of the safer Pokemon in the meta. I saw Dunebug running Dragon Claw on it, which I thought was pretty clever in Toronto because it helps it a lot in neutral matchups, like against Licky Licky, against ground types. But Azumarill is starting to become more popular, and if you don't have Sludge Bomb for that matchup, it's just so miserable. With Sludge Bomb, it's really not that bad at all because you outpace before the play rough, and you can really make life difficult for Azu because the Sludge Bomb does like almost half health, and the bubbles don't really do much at all, right? So I opted for Sludge Bomb. So Guzzlord actually is one of my safe picks. And then Caesar. And Caesar, we all know, is good. One reason I opted for Caesar over like Empoleon is because it just puts on so much pressure, and I kind of lack the fast attack pressure in general with this team. And I remember in Toronto watching Elam have a few matches on stream where like he could just pretty much safely lead the Caesar against any team and try to give himself some sort of advantage, and it just kind of makes life easy and simple. And we'll get into that later on in this tournament, how crucial Caesar was for me. Now this spot, Lapras, I had a Azumarill here for quite some time, a Pokemon that can like, you know, absorb a lot of damage, really bulky. Also gave me another fighting resistance, since I have like Guzzlord, and I guess like, you know, Annihilate wouldn't be great against this team. Like, so I had a Azumarill here, and you know what? In practice, Azumarill just felt very clunky to me, where you win lead with Azumarill, right? Against maybe like a Guzzlord, against an Altaria, but your opponent can swap in a lot of things that just immediately put you on the back foot, and Azumarill's just a little bit slow for my liking, so I opted for Lapras. Another main reason I opted for Lapras was Empoleon. Empoleon was really good against my team. Its only real check, right, is Flat Stanley. It has play against everything. It still kind of has play against everything. It's not like Lapras is a counter, but I'd much rather be Lapras against Empoleon because you can clearly win the Zero Shield scenario versus Azu. Because with Azu, they just like, they can just dictate that matchup however they want. They can play it out. They can build up a ton of energy, take a play rough, and then save that energy for later. Lapras is a lot less comfortable for Empoleon than Azumarill. So that was like the main reason for Lapras, was just to be a little bit more flexible and to have a better neutral answer to Empoleon. And then maybe the main event, Disarming Voice Florges. Disarming Voice Florges here. And, you know, maybe this is confusing where I have this located, but put it over on my screen. And I first got this idea from Axon because I was discussing my Toronto team with him. He was the one that gave me the idea for Shadow Malamar that I rolled with. And he suggests, I told him going into the tournament, you know, I like this team, but I think maybe Altaria is just too safe against me. And he said you could consider Disarming Voice Florges. And I thought about it, and I looked into it, and it seemed like a viable idea. But I guess I just kind of chickened out, and I think I just wanted more coverage for, like, Jellicent. I wanted more coverage for, like, Gastrodon. So I kind of chickened away from abandoning Trailblaze. But for this tournament, I figured, you know what? If you look at my team, I've got some grass coverage on Caesar. I've got an actual grass type in Gourgeist. Feels like kind of overkill to have a third grass move on my team. So I went for the fairy coverage, and this ended up being extremely crucial in not just this tournament, but this first match that we're about to show. So without further ado, I've kept you waiting long enough. Let's get into this first match. I told you it's going to be a long, chill video. Don't hurry me. But we see Morato's team. Morato, very strong battler, has had some nice placements before in play Pokemon. And he's running Marowak, Empoleon, Azu, Moltres, Credilli, and Charjabug. Now, I don't entirely remember what lines I'm going to run here, but immediately I remember thinking, if Gourgeist avoids Moltres, it's pretty much free against everything else. So I liked Moltres, I liked Gourgeist as a potential lead for me here. And I remember thinking, worst case, I lead into Moltres. Well, I can always safe swap my Guzzlord. And what's the best answer to Guzzlord? Azumarill? Yeah, but Azumarill's not comfortable against Guzzlord behind energy. All right, so game number one, we lock in, and there it is. I lead the Gourgeist, knowing that as long as I don't see Moltres, I've got a decent matchup with the Gourgeist against this team. It's a really solid core breaker for him. He attempts to catch onto the Moltres, but this is actually great for me because I'm able to, you know, have the patience, see that as a potential option for him. I don't throw immediately, and gonna throw the Discharge here, locking my Stunfisk into Moltres. What's also great about this position for me is once the Moltres is out of the picture, I know my Gourgeist is really safe. Also, my Guzzlord is safe in general. So at this point in the game, like, I'm already feeling like I'm in a very favorable position. We know Credilli has energy, so he could opt to throw immediately with Credilli, but instead he's going to take a Mud Bomb in exchange for getting some more energy on his Credilli. He feels like the energy is going to be more valuable than maybe some of this health. So overperforms just slightly, then throws the Grass Knot here, does like 2 extra, and this is going to knock out my Stunfisk, excuse me. I'm going to come back in with Gourgeist. I have a ton of energy. Throw Shadow Ball here. Morato just going to let it go. Just going to let it go. Barely hangs on with Credilli and gets off a parting Rock Tomb. Now, I feel like I have enough energy here where my Gourgeist is still valuable. So I do shield. And I'm going to go for the Seed Bomb bait. Even though I'm debuffed, right? I feel like it's a tough position for him to let this go. A Shadow Ball would just put him so low. I immediately swap Guzz, mostly just to clear my debuff. And Drill Peck coming through. Guzz very fast to its attacks. It's not a bad matchup at all against Empoleon. It's like a very, very even matchup, I would say, these two, because the Brutal Swing does almost half, and you outpace the Empoleon when on even energy. Now, I decide to just throw my Brutal Swing immediately on bad timing, putting the pressure on him, right? He has to use that last Protect Shield. He is going to overfarm here. The Credilli is gone, so I don't have to worry about a potential catch or anything, and because I have a move loaded on my Gourgeist, I decide to let it go. Gonna throw immediately, and a pretty clean game number 1 win here. Still had 1 Protect Shield as Gourgeist gets the knockout blow there against Empoleon. Game number 2, our game 1 strat worked pretty well in terms of leading the Gourgeist, and this time I go with a pretty different line. I actually lead the Lapras, thinking that, you know, Empoleon is pretty good against me. One thing I liked about Lapras is maybe if I could catch the lead against the Empoleon, lose the zeros, farm down with Guzz, then my Floridus would be free in the back. But here's the thing. He brought both the Credilli and the Empoleon. So this is kind of awkward for me because I don't want to put myself in a situation where my floor just gets locked onto a bad matchup, right? So I throw another Sparkling Aria. He shields, and he's going to double up here on Drill Peck. Now, this is where a little bit of inexperience with maybe this particular matchup comes into play. And I don't reach the, that Sparkling. All right, now we can like take a little instant replay at this because I thought maybe I would get to the Sparkling Aria if I was 2 away because I thought I'd live 1 Metal Sound. But let's see, I'm 1, 2, 3 Psy Waves away here, which means the second Metal Sound is going to register first and knock me out. So a bit of a misplay there. I probably should have pivoted my Guzzlord, I guess, instead of just giving the farm down. He throws a Drill Peck, and then he immediately pivots Cradily. And I'm getting a little bit nervous because this Cradily is so healthy, and it's hard for my remaining 2 Pokemon. But I do have a feeling it's the Moltres again in the back, especially because he, like, pivoted, right, so quickly out of that matchup. I figured maybe he was trying to lure out the Stunfisk that wasn't there at this time. But this is actually another key play. Pay attention to this. He throws Rock Tomb. He's dry here. He threw after 2. I don't go for good timing. I throw immediately. Now, would I have lived 2 acids anyway? I'm not sure, so maybe this is a bad example. But I throw immediately, and what this is going to do is going to allow me to CMP tie the Credilli, because we're going to be both 5 away from our attack. And this is where the Disarming Voice becomes revealed. After this goes through, I like take a look at him to see if he has a reaction. Because what happens so many times in practice is people didn't read my team sheet and they didn't realize I had Disarming Voice, but he didn't seem phased, so I think he knew that I had it. And then he makes a beautiful catch here, anticipating when I'm going to throw. I even went 1 past it, and he still makes the catch onto Empoleon. I kind of forgot if Empoleon had any residual energy, so I didn't bother undercharging. I didn't want to just lose the game by, like, allowing Empoleon to get to a move. But now he's in a weird spot. If I were him, I may have just used the Credilli to throw the Rock Tomb, but here's the thing. If he does that, it gives me an opportunity to, like, clear my debuff and maybe bank 2 moves. So maybe that actually would have been a losing play if I got that farm down. So I take it back. Maybe this was the right play. He comes in with Moltres. I swap Guzzlord there, and a lot of people were confused by that. They're like, what's Rise doing? Well, I was just clearing the debuff simply. I wasn't trying to catch. I just wanted to clear the debuff that I had from that Rock Tomb. He goes for a fly here. I have to shield. And, you know, I hadn't really had too much time to practice this matchup. I don't know how many Fairy Winds I need to do to put it within Disarming Voice range. And I throw slightly early here. And throwing slightly early, it doesn't knock out the Moltres. And I know he has the Rock Tomb loaded. So keep an eye on what I do here. I stop tapping. I look at that top right corner, and I CMP tie the Credilli when it comes in. And I was pretty happy with this play. Like, I thought this was pretty nasty. Now, some people were a little bit confused when they watched this. They're like, how did Rise get the move off first? Because if you watch really carefully here, Morato technically presses his charge attack before me, but you have to keep in mind it's always going to be a one-turn swap. So you see that right there. He clicked it before me, but it's a one-turn swap, and I have this in 1.5 times speed, so I can break it down a little bit slower here. We'll go to normal speed. But right, whenever you have the same duration charge attack and a move goes through, it's going to give you a one-turn swap. The reason you can also tell it's a one-turn swap, right, is because the swap doesn't queue immediately here when he's tapping. So it's always going to be a one-turn swap. And it gives me enough time, a half second to be exact, to react. A half second of leeway where I'm the one that wins this charge attack priority, even though he technically pressed it first. Because it's going to take a half second. And I pressed it within a half second of him pressing it. So we're able to get the win there, and I was pretty proud of that one. And that is going to take us to day number 2, where we're on the winner's side. And, you know, after I finished for day number 1, I was done pretty early in the day, and I ended up getting lunch with OutofPoket. And, you know, we spent like most of the rest of the day together, which was kind of funny because we knew we were going to play each other. And I actually didn't know Pocket's full team. I knew 4 of his 5. But I didn't know like the last 2. I kind of insinuated that he was running Guzzlord by asking him and his reaction, but I didn't know his 6th until about 11 p.m. that night. I found out Pocket's 6th Pokemon was actually Charjabug, and I was able to do just a little bit of preparation, a little bit of scrims against his team. And yeah, so let's get Pocket's team correctly on there. We'll get rid of Morato's team. And Pocket was running a pretty unique squad here with Corsola, Fortress on Bug Bite, Azumarill, Licky Licky, Guzzlord, and Charjabug. Now, what I really liked about this matchup, and what's funny, maybe I'll reveal this after these battles, but Pocket and I had different takes on like who was favored in this matchup. And I personally really liked this matchup for me because my Florges and my Stunfisk were almost completely safe, right? The best answer for Stunfisk is probably Guzzlord, but Stunfisk like can kind of soft lose that matchup. Corsola as well just kind of out neutral Stunfisk, but once again, not a bad matchup. And then Florges has play against everything. I guess Azumarill might be the worst because I don't have Trailblaze, so Azumarill just kind of outbulks it. And Fortress is not that bad because you resist the Bug Bites and the Chilling Water hits for neutral. So I liked this matchup for me. And I did a scrim against my good friend Axon, and it went pretty well. So I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty confident coming into this. And, you know, sorry to pause right as I'm about to do the battle. But I will say one thing, you know, the night before this tournament, or the night before day 2, was looking at the Dracoviz graphic that came out of the teams. And when I was looking at this Dracoviz graphic here, I did not feel like there was any team in particular that I like really didn't want to see. I really liked my team, especially looking at this winner's side 8. There wasn't a single team I looked at and I was like, oh man, that team would be really tough for me. So I felt pretty good for that reason going into day 2 that, you know, I had a chance. I had a good chance. And like, I almost wanted to say that to like some people. I wanted to like message my mom because my mom is often wondering because she'll hear me say things like I have a good matchup tomorrow, I have a bad matchup tomorrow, but she can't really tell, right? So, you know, I felt like I had a good matchup and I felt like my team was pretty good against everybody. So yeah. Wait, let's go back here. OutofPoket. One of the world's best, easily. And here we go. Game number 1. I had my 2 safest Pokemon in back, Florges and Stunfisk, and I decided to go with my Scizor because I felt like Scizor had the chance for me to catch a positive lead, whether it was Corsola whether it was Licky Licky or Azumarill, like Scizor had the opportunity, I felt like, for me to win switch and line up my Stunfisk against Fortress. And I felt like Fortress was pretty decent against me, right? It beats Scizor, it beats Lapras, it shreds through Guzz, and then it's decent enough against Florges, and it's like not great against Stunfisk, but it has play there. I felt like Fortress and Licky Licky were like two of his better Mons, and if I could get my Stunfisk aligned with the Fortress ideally, like that'd be great. So enough talking, let's get into it. He doesn't like that lead, so he swaps Licky Licky. I do 6 bullet punches, which is really nice because it puts this Licky Licky like almost into double Mud Bomb range, and then I can put in my Stunfisk here. Now, Stunfisk will typically lose the Zero Shield scenario against Licky Licky, but because I did that chip damage, it makes this better for me. And I caught a Body Slam as well, which is helpful. Gonna go for the Mud Bomb here. I'm already at double, so I might lure him into throwing immediately. But no, he doesn't throw immediately. He goes for Body Slam. I felt like I would still live a Shadow Ball from this range, so I don't shield. And I take the Body Slam. I don't know if maybe Pocket, yeah, was like going for double Body Slam anyway to make me throw earlier or something. But this is looking pretty nice. I get off a Parting Discharge against the Azumarill as well. Azu will get a decent little farm down. So comes out 1 away from the Ice Beam. I come in Scizor, and I just throw my Trailblaze as soon as I can on good timing. And then this is going to put Azu quite low. Azu throws the Play Rough. I don't know for sure what's in the back, so I shield. Sometimes you just figure 2 Pokemon's better than 1. Play Rough would put me really low. In comes Fortress. I'm a little bit concerned at this point, but I throw my Night Slash here to get a shield while I'm boosted. Immediately swap, knowing I can get off my Chilling Water before this Rock Tomb here. It takes Fortress a while to get to that Rock Tomb, and this is pretty big because now I am more willing to take the Rock Tomb now that the Fortress is debuffed. The switch timers are a little bit desynced, so that's going to potentially come into play, but I just throw this immediately once again, really putting the pressure on Pocket. And Pocket's going to put up the shield. And knowing I'm not really in jeopardy of getting bug bitten down, I wait for the swap. I swap Scizor once I see it. Gonna force him to expend energy here. I think I shield, knowing I wasn't entirely sure, but I knew he might get to double Sand Tomb here first. But I figured that was fine because I had the Chilling Water banked on my Florges. We come in Florges. Chilling Water should be enough from this range. Pocket dancing around, making life difficult as he's able to do against so many people, but I had a favorable lead, and I was able to just kind of maintain a slight advantage throughout the game, it felt like, before the next one. And, yo, wait. Rise. Oh, he tagged my team. That's funny. In prep. It's funny. Pocket has a team tagged Rise. I have a team tagged Pocket. LOL. Ja, 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 as we say. Anyway, game number 2. And here we go. We lock in. I go Stunfisk, probably my safest Pokemon. And I immediately decide to pivot Florges here. The reason I immediately pivot is, first of all, to like make things more uncomfortable for him. And second of all, like, I want to lure out the Fortress if it's there. I want to lure out the Fortress potentially, because then it opens up Scizor. But I throw my Chilling Water immediately. So already kind of creating a desync in the switch timer. And by Chilling Water immediately, I can take this Nightshade better without the risk of really getting farmed down. He comes in Licky Licky. I throw Chilling Water here. And this is going to debuff the Licky. He throws immediately. I actually shield. He's lured into throwing on bad timing to not take another move. And I build up the energy where I feel like it might be more valuable, and then swap in Stunfisk while he's still locked. So he's locked into a debuff momentarily, and I'm swapping in my Stunfisk against this debuffed Licky Licky. And once again, keep in mind, like, we're just kind of dancing here. Like, he's got energy. It's not like he's necessarily in a bad position by any means, but the desync in the switch timer is going to become a huge factor here. And Pocket throws this Nightshade immediately. And because the switch timers are so misaligned, I'm able to come in here. I know he's completely dry on Corsola. and he doesn't get to another Nightshade. So now I have this huge head start with my Caesar. He comes in with Licky, and I get the shield. Now, I knew that... Let's see. I shield this Body Slam, and he only gets to another Body Slam, luckily, here. This is going to put me low. But we've got a lot of energy across all three of our Pokemon against this Fortress. So this was a pivotal decision here. I thought about coming in with Florges, you know, to get the debuff off as soon as possible. But I felt like my Stunfisk had enough health where it was still going to be annoying for him to get rid of it. And I come in with Stunfisk, go for the Mud Bomb here. And this is where you're going to see kind of the lack of... The reason I don't like Fortress, right, is Sand Tomb is just... so wimpy. Super effective damage, right? You'd think it knocks out for sure. Doesn't knock out. Allows my Stunfisk to get off this Mud Bomb. And I have energy loaded on my Florges. So I come in right away, throw it. And this is going to put him in just kind of an insurmountable position. I decide just to blind swap my Caesar because I figure I can bullet punch everything down anyway. And he swaps... I bullet punch everything down, and we take the win 2-0 against Mr. OutofPoket. Now, this is going to set us up into the top 8, where we play a trainer named PaulGarcia. I wasn't super familiar with PaulGarcia, but he has some impressive wins, some impressive finishes in the Play Pokemon Championship Series. And everyone I was asking, or I wasn't really even asking, people were asking who I was playing next. And every time I said PaulGarcia, they're like, oh, he's really good. So in LATAM, this guy has a really good reputation as an amazing, strong player. And we were tasked with facing him next. So let's see what we can do against PaulGarcia. Oh, wait. I can't do that here. I have to wait till I get it on screen. Here we go. Get rid of Pocket's team, and I am on the right side this time. So I'll put that there. And then PaulGarcia's team. Now, there was actually a mistake in the Dracoviz graphic. So I thought I thought that he had a Shadow Malamar on his team, but it turns out he did not. He did not have a Shadow Malamar on his team. I'm forgetting what was there instead. I don't know. Maybe we'll see it in the battle. Maybe it was like Guzzlord or something. But, oh, it's the K-Whack. There we go. It's right there. The K-Whack is what was actually there instead of the Shadow Malamar. So, yeah, I catch an amazing lead. And you're going to see me in this particular game. Like, things have been pretty clean and straightforward so far, right? But I make a bit of a mistake here. And you're going to see it very early. I throw Seed Bomb immediately. I get the shield, and I go with my Guzzlord instead of my Stunfisk. And I was making a team read here. I was making a team read that with a Marowak lead, right? He's really weak to my Gourgeist. I thought it was going to be the Moltres in the back. I thought he was going with an ABB line with the Galarian Moltres. And that's why I decided to come in with my Guzzlord here. But this is going to end up costing me. Because as you guys can see, he has Cradily in the back. And my Stunfisk is now going to have nowhere to go. Now, let's say I was right. Let's say it was the Moltres. AAO. Why is our quality dipping down here? Even if it was the Moltres, right, and I come in with Stunfisk, like, it's not like Guzzlord does that bad against Moltres, so maybe this was just an unnecessary risk by me, but I was making a read, and I throw the Brutal Swing here, knockout Empoleon. He might get a massive farm down here with Marowak, which is a little bit concerning, because even that Rock Slide is still going to hit decently hard against my Gourgeist. Brutal Swing coming through. I get some chip damage. Marowak is going to go down. Cradily comes back. And gonna go for my Shadow Ball here. Thought about baiting, but since I'm not debuffed as well, but Now it's like, where do I even use the Stunfisk, right? I have to use it somewhere, so I swap it into the Credilli, which is obviously not a good situation. But I'm just trying to get some chip damage off here. If I had baited the Seed Bomb, that would have been really nice, actually, but we didn't. I get off another Mud Bomb, so Credilli's starting to get low, but he's going to double up on attack, which is pretty bad for me. He swaps into Marowak, doesn't want to let me reach the Mud Bomb. So I am going to let this go. Come back in with Gourgeist. Imagine if I was only one away from that Seed Bomb if I had baited. I could have thrown the Seed Bomb first, and we probably just win on the spot. But he's only 2 away from a second Rock Slide, and this is going to be enough to knock me out. And I looked it up after the fact. Not at the tournament or anything, but like after the tournament. And Rock Tomb from Credilli does slightly more than Rock Slide from Marowak. So I did make the right decision there in terms of not shielding the Rock Slide, since that would do less damage than the Rock Tomb. But PaulGarcia takes game 1, and now we have to respond. Here we go. This is to get to top 3. Game 2, he leads Moltres into my Lapras, and I have the Gourgeist in back. So, like, this is definitely scary. I definitely can see the possibility of Moltres just running through me this game, so I got to be careful. I decided to bait the Sparkling Aria. He calls the bait like a savage and goes for the Brave Bird. I shield it, and I just throw Sparkling right away, not messing around. I mean, these Sucker Punches add up, so I don't think it's the worst decision in the world. And I'm going to keep building up here, trying to get to a move. He throws immediately at the Brave Bird, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go at this point. Get a head start with my Guzz. He swaps Marowak, and I think this may be a costly decision for him. I think if he had swapped the Credilli, like, it would have made things more uncomfortable for me. But now I'm able to kind of punish this Marowak that swaps in here. He hits me with the Rock Slide. I Seed Bomb, not letting him get to another Rock Slide here. I'm expecting Moltres to come back in, but I'm still going to do 1 Incinerate before throwing Seed Bomb. He's waiting quite a long time here. And he actually comes in with the Credilli, which surprises me. Definitely surprises me. He shields the Shadow Ball once again. Maybe could have baited there, but never, don't not bait 100% of the time. 50% of the time, occasionally. Never. And I swap in Guzz. I get off the Brutal Swing before the first Rock Tomb. I think that's important to get that off before the debuff. And I'm still going to go for good timing here. I'm not going to rush myself. Another Brutal Swing is going to put him into almost Brutal Swing range. And I shield. He's going to be dry here. And I got to be ready for the potential catch. He goes for it, but I'm able to overfarm here. Go for the Sludge Bomb. I think I'm double debuffed at this point. Some people are saying Brutal Swing would have been enough. I don't think so. And then I decide to just bank my Brutal Swing, knowing that my Guzzlord will win chart attack priority and clearing my debuffs here. So I force him to expend energy on Gourgeist, have the Brutal Swing loaded, and this is going to be enough to knock out Credilli. So a bit of a scary lead there in game number 2, but we're able to get the win and move on. GG's to PaulGarcia. Or sorry, that was game number 2. We're able to move on to game number 3. That's what I meant to say. And let's see if we can get it done. Game number 3. Empoleon into my Guzzlord. Neutral matchup. I don't mind this because my Florges avoids its hardest counter in the Empoleon. But once again, people with Credilli are seemingly bringing both Credilli and Empoleon against me. So I'm kind of scared if my Florges is really going to have much play. He swaps in his Azumarill. I go for a catch attempt. I'm unsuccessful. And I bring the Lapras once again. Lapras, I'm just going to kind of use to soak up all this energy. Because if you look at his team, it's not like Lapras really has a great target. Honestly, Lapras does not look good against his team. But neutrally, it's just such a strong generalist. I guess I brought it anyway. I don't know if that was the wisest idea. But I'm going to overfarm here. Could have done a little bit more, like 3 more Psywaves. But I throw here, and I overfarm enough where I'm hoping I can get off a move against something. In comes Credilli, and now I'm scared because I'm like, oh man, my Floridas has nowhere to go. And because my Floridas has nowhere to go, I end up playing here really aggressively. I just swap in my Guzzlord yet again, throwing this Brutal Swing. I know the Empoleon has some energy too, right? So I shield the Rock Tomb, thinking this will do more than a Drill Peck from Empoleon. I don't know if that's actually correct or not, but that's what I was thinking. And Drill Peck coming through here. Now he gives me a free Dragon Tail. I'm thinking I have to shield. I have to save this energy to get rid of this Empoleon. I go for the Brutal Swing here, and this ends up being a massive situation. I swap Florges here. He's at 2 Metal Sounds. 1, 2, 3 Fairy Winds gives me the perfect farm down. And now he's locked into his last Pokemon, and I can go straight Chilling Water here, knowing it'll 2-shot. It'll put me in a position where his Charge Attack's not going to be enough to knock me out. Even if he had gone for Grass Knot here, I'm still always going to reach this Chilling Water. He has to shield, and I still have that second Brutal Swing loaded on my Guzzlord. So at this point, I know I just win. And he's even forced to throw here. I think my Floridas would have reached another Chilling Water. So this is one of those games where people watching, I mean, I was kind of thinking the same thing. My Floridas has nowhere to go, but Florida's able to put in enough work to make a difference. And we get the win against PaulGarcia here, moving us on to the winners finals, where we're playing best of 5. And we're going to be facing off against none other than a player I've played once before in the championship series. That was Monterey last year. We're facing off against... Bum, bum, bum. Drum roll, please. Sorry, I'm trying to find the... I'm trying to find the spot where we start. I think I almost got it. Here we go. We're facing off against Spartan. Amazing player. And you know what? I had heard, I think... I don't know if it was Morato or if it was someone else maybe, but someone said they consider Spartan the best Mexican player in a country that has so many amazing players. For example, Richie, for example, Rocha Babyface, for example, Ash and Ash is kind of dual citizen with America and Mexico. Iamero, so many great players. Spartan has the reputation, it seems, at least by some, as the best Mexican player representing his home country here. And we are tasked with being his opponent. Let's get Spartan's team here. Let's drag my team back over to my side. And I liked this matchup. I felt like my Caesar was really strong. It was only really afraid of Stunfisk and Gastro, kind of. But it still has play against those Pokemon, right? And my Gourgeist... only afraid of Altaria, really, and Furret as well, kind of. Furret's, like, good against Gourgeist if, you know, you're locked in there, but when you can move around, Furret's energy doesn't go that far against Gourgeist, so it's, like, bad for Gourgeist, but it's not the worst. And my Guzzlord as well. Guzzlord very safe against the whole team. There's not really a hard check to Guzzlord. Only, like, Credilli just out-neutralizes it. But I liked this matchup. So I knew Guzzlord and Caesar were kind of my keys here. And I was feeling kind of nervous, man. I was feeling kind of nervous against Spartan. I know how well he'd been playing. He had just got second place in his previous tournament. But I catch a decent lead here in game number 1. Guzzlord into Caesar. He throws the Trailblaze. And I just throw immediately. Now, this was a situation where I'm like, do I pivot? Do I stay? I decide just to stay. Honestly, if I had pivoted Caesar here, dude, the game is just over. If I had pivoted Caesar here, the game is over. But I play a little bit too cautious, maybe. Because I run the risk of, you know, getting punished by, like, a Gastrodon and then just 2 shields through me and I lose. So I play a little bit too cautious, I think. And now I find myself down a shield. Or, not down a shield. Down, like... a lot of health on my Caesar. And I got to start using shields at some point. So I shield the sky attack here. But this is concerning, to say the least. And I end up being a little bit sloppy, I have to say, in this end game. He throws another sky attack. I shield again. He catches the ice beam. And I thought about undercharging here. But I just didn't really remember. I just wasn't like fully locked in where I remembered how much health exactly was on the Credilli. So I don't undercharge. This Credilli is dry. Like, if I undercharge this, I could get a nice farm down. Force energy from the... I guess I still get off this sparkling here. But I think a farm down would have been so nice for me. And then Spartan, keeping track of energy well, over farms against my Caesar swap in. And then he's just going to be able to outpace my Lapras here. So a nice catch from him and just a bit of a lack of concentration from me, not taking advantage of the undercharge opportunity that I think could have won me that game still. So that's all right. We dropped game 1 to Spartan. We know we could have played that a little bit better. Game number 2. Caesar into Furret, neutral lead. Now, I had played this matchup so many times in practice, and what I found is people do not like shielding their Furret here because I think they're afraid that if you shield Night Slash, Caesar's always going to reach that second Night Slash, and they don't want that to happen. So people like to let this go, knowing they live Night Slash. And I'm just going to play this pretty simple this time. I'm just going to stay in. Well, I guess I played it simple last time and I regretted it. This time I play it simple and, maybe it's for the best. That's Pokemon Go for you. But I just win lead so I can lock in my Gourgeist here against the Gastrodon. He goes for Water Pulse. I do one Incinerate. He tries to catch Seed Bomb on Altaria. I don't quite fall for it. So a nice little patience there. Shadow Ball gets the shield, swap in Guzzy Wuzzy. Was a bear. And I'm feeling pretty good at this point because I know I can simply shield this and go for my double Brutal Swing. And as long as he doesn't catch this Brutal Swing on his Gastro, I should be chilling. And I was pretty sure his switch timer wasn't quite up yet. So I just get rid of this. And Gastro's not going to be able to really get rid of both my Guzz and my Gourgeist at this point. He does lag a turn here, preventing him from getting an extra Mud Slap. But here's the thing, let's assume he had one extra Mud Slap here. In this situation, I don't think it really matters. Water Pulse doesn't quite knock out. And we get the win for game number 2. Spartan didn't bother disputing or anything. I kind of looked up because whenever I'm someone that recognizes, right, when people lag. I feel like sometimes people don't recognize it, but I looked up and he didn't seem like he was even considering disputing, so I appreciate it. Game number 3, Caesar into Gastro, not ideal. I immediately pivot into my Guzzlord and he swaps Credilli. Purified, shiny Credilli, by the way. And this is good for Credilli, I would say. However, being up multiple Dragon Tails is going to lend itself to my advantage. Because I'm going to be able to pull some sort of advantage out of this matchup, whether it's pulling both shields or flipping switch. I already got a shield from Credilli, and now I'm going to focus on good timing as well. I don't want to get scared, because by focusing on good timing here, I put myself in a position where he has to throw this Rock Tomb. If I throw in bad timing, maybe I don't get to another Brutal Swing. Rock Tomb takes me out. I'm up a shield now. Come in Caesar. And this time, I brought the Florges. I throw my Trailblaze to try and get the last shield off of him. And I end up making a mistake here. This is, once again, very sloppy. And I don't know if it was nerves or what. But I take the Body Slam, right? And I stay in thinking I'm going to reach that Night Slash. But you can see pretty clearly, I was never going to take that second Mud Slap. So that's just, sloppy from me. Considering whether I want to shield or not. I shield Body Slam. He throws this one immediately, and I'm thinking it's probably Altaria in the back at this point. So I'm better off not shielding this and saving my shield for the Sky Attack. And this is where Disarming Voice really pays dividends for us. Disarming Voice coming through, bang, big damage. And Sky Attack, we will use our final Protect shield here. And get the Fairy Wind down. And this is going to be a good game. I go for Chilling Water here. When I was watching Caleb Pang's watch party stream back, he was kind of confused. But, you know, I was nervous here. And, like, I'm not even joking. I'm, like, concerned that if I miscounted and he has a Body Slam, I'll just throw Chilling Water and then Disarming Voice. Like, just so the Body Slam doesn't knock out. So that's like, I was feeling pretty nervous, and I'm not going to lie, I was not really that happy with how I played in this winners finals. Almost every other set, I felt like I played pretty well. This was the one set I felt like my plays were pretty shaky. Game number 4, we're up 2-1 against Spartan. And here we go. Guzzlord, I think it seems like they started that a little late. So I think, yeah, I led Guzzlord into Caesar. And he tried to catch Brutal Swing on Altaria is what happened. So I'm at double Brutal Swing now. I figure he's probably going to let this go since I'm at double. Just going to take his shield advantage. And what does he do? He comes in with Caesar. I throw immediately as to not let him throw first. He gets the farm down. I come in with Gorg. I was kind of hoping he would throw Night Slash here, so my Incinerate would come through, but he saves it instead, which is big for him. I throw Seed Bomb against the Furret, and this is awkward because my Lapras that I brought this game, for some reason, just really has nowhere to go. You know, Lapras for me, like, it's just such a strong neutral Pokemon, but it was that and Stunfisk were the two Pokemon I did not bring that much in this tournament. It felt like they were always kind of my Pokemon that didn't really have a lot of play. I shield the Swift here from Mr. Furret. He combos and also doubles up with the Caesar. Goes for the Night Slash. I'm able to swap, but he gets off this Parting Night Slash, which is going to do a lot of damage to my Gourgeist. I think he still has a shield to hide behind as well, right? No, he doesn't, but he's not in Seed Bomb range, and I don't get off a Sparkling Aria. So pretty dominant game 4 victory for Spartan. And this is where the big moments are, man. This is what you live for. A game 5 in the winners finals to set you up. Hopefully get on the winner's side of the bracket for the grand finals. For those that aren't already familiar, once again, it's a double elimination format. So if I'm to win this, I'm going to be the winner's finalist of the grand finals, which means whoever I face will have to beat me in 2 matches. Here we go. And we catch a good lead. Caesar into Altaria, and I really like this because I can just kind of dictate what I want to do here. Always going to shield this, of course, and I'm going to be able to overfarm and come out with extra energy. I go past double Night Slash here to a point where I feel like Night Slash is enough to knock out, and he's just going to let it go and give himself shield advantage. So I was liking this, but what some people were pointing out was, okay, where does my Florges go? My Florges doesn't have much play in the back, but because of the overfarm, my Caesar gets both shields off his Caesar, and I'm just going to let myself get farmed down here, of course, so I can absorb this energy on Guzz. He's going to throw the Trailblaze here. And I was kind of hoping it wasn't the Credilli in the back. I was hoping it was anything else. He catches my Brutal Swing. This, if I want to toot my own horn a little bit, I think is pretty high-level stuff. And it may not seem like it, but rather than giving myself the 0-turn swap, I know that Caesar has energy. Caesar is 3 bullet punches away from double Night Slash. Wait, was it 3 away? Or was it 2 away? Maybe it was 2 away. I forget. But I give myself a little energy before leaving. And I have the turns in my head, right? Where I can do 1 Dragon Tail, swap. That's 3 turns, 1 turn swap. Where I can give myself that little energy with Guzz and still win CMP first with my Chilling Water. And this is critical because this Chilling Water makes it so Credilli can't throw like a Grass Knot and then farm me down. so I don't have to use the shield here. I can save the shield for Guz. I even decide to overfarm here by 1 just to take 1 more acid, hopefully giving less farm for Scizor. Disarming Voice knocks out. Scizor gets the farm, so now it's 2 away from double Night Slash. In this, I thought about letting go. I thought about letting go in the moment, but I was thinking, okay, if he boosts and I shield a boost with a Night Slash, what are you going to do, right? You lost to the boost. But if he Trailblazes and I let it go, then I lose. And that could have been like 1,000 IQ play, expecting me to no-shield the Night Slash. What I didn't even think about in the moment, what I thought about afterwards was, if I'm scared of a boost and I no-shield, I lose anyway because the 2 boosted bullet punches. So I think I made the correct, I think this is like an objectively correct decision here to shield in hindsight, even though I thought about no shielding in the moment. But he doesn't boost on the Night Slash, luckily for us, which lets us take the second Night Slash and is going to send us to the grand finals, man. For the second time in my last 3 tournaments, we're back in the grand finals. Now, Spartan would go on to play Ashton Ash after Ashton Ash beat Rocha Babyface. And I don't have the team up here, but I will say I rather wanted to play Spartan's team than Ashton Ash's team, simply due to this Pokemon right here, the Empoleon. If you look at my team, that's still in the upper left-hand corner. Empoleon's pretty dang good against me, right? Like, I have neutral play. I have Guzzlord, I have Lapras, I have Gourgeist, and Stunfisk is decent, but, like, it kind of bodies Florges, and unless you can, like, pull off some catches and stuff with Scizor, it's really good against Scizor as well. So, like, Empoleon is just kind of annoying for my team. And I did play several of them in this tournament, don't get me wrong, that I was able to overcome, but I liked my matchup better against Spartan's team. And Spartan, I believe, might have 3-0'd Ashton Ash. I don't want to be wrong. I think he 3-0'd Ashton Ash here in this set, which sets up the rematch in the grand finals. And once again, in the winners finals, even though I won in 5 games, I felt like I played kind of sloppy. And I just said, you know what? If I just play my game and I bring Scizor Guz. Like, Scizor Guz is so strong. It's so safe against his team. I feel like I couldn't go wrong with that core. And I just said, I'm just going to make him prove to me that he can beat Scizor Guz. So game number 1, I lead Scizor, swap Guz, because I have 2 better answers in the background. I have that Gourgeist. And my goal here is going to be to try to flip switch advantage if possible. He doesn't really have an obvious answer. Not just on this line, but the entire team against my Guzzlord. So it makes things awkward for Spartan. I CMP tie him on the second Brutal Swing, and we've already put this Gastrodon in a point where it's very low. Body Slam connects. He swaps Altaria. I get lucky here. I get very lucky here. That's 9 Dragon Breaths, and the 10th Dragon Breath doesn't register before my Brutal Swing. So this is what we call damage registration error, where usually you don't get off this Brutal Swing. But in this particular situation, it lets me get off the Brutal Swing. So this is pretty fortunate for me. Because it's going to put this Altaria in a range where I can fully farm it down. I don't think I would have been able to fully farm it down otherwise. I probably would have had to throw Night Slash before it got to a second. Yeah, without a doubt. So that DRE is pretty lucky for me, if we're being honest. I throw Trailblaze here. Now, straight Night Slash might have been the better play, but in my head I was thinking if I Trailblaze immediately, even if he shields, I can do enough bullet punch damage where maybe I put this thing into like Seed Bomb range. I throw Night Slash right away. I get the Final Protect shield, and he's going to go for a full farm down with Fur, which is a nice play, but I've got the perfect thing in back. The Pumpkin. And the Pumpkin can absorb all this energy that Furret has. So normally what's a bad matchup for Pumpkin is not going to be that bad in this particular situation. I know he has the Trailblaze here, and I figure a boosted Trailblaze might do more than anything from Gastro, so I shield it. He baits me with the Swift. He's not quite at another move. I think I may have lost track slightly at this point of where he was at with Furret, but I knew as long as I had double Seed Bomb, I was chilling because I'm going to win CMP against Furret. And this is going to give us game number 1 in the grand finals against Spartan. Good game. And we will skip on ahead to the next one. Went a little bit too far, it looks like. Here we go. Game number 2, Caesar into Caesar, the mirror. Now, I had consulted with some of my teammates about potentially going for Trailblaze in this matchup, because what Trailblaze allows is they're normally going to shield it anyway, and then you can farm them down before a second Night Slash. But I decided just to play it safer, build up to double Night Slash, and going to go for this one immediately. He decides to actually double shield his Caesar to try and win switch. And he does, but the problem for him is my Guzzlord can tank this energy pretty easily. So he gets a shield advantage, but my Guzzlord tanks is no problem, and he gives up switch to not allow the free farm down. Also maybe get off a Night Slash later against something. But the Caesar is super low. I don't know if it's ever going to live a fast attack from something. He throws Rock Tomb here. And very similar to what I showcased earlier, I throw immediately. I disregard my timing. Because by disregarding my timing, I only give him 1 acid, and I'm going to allow my Florges to once again win the CMP. And maybe Trailblaze would have been enough from here anyway, but this is where Disarming Voice is nice, right? I'm going to definitely knock this out with Disarming Voice. And it's Fur in back, and I'm feeling pretty good here. I go for Chilling Water. Don't know if this is really necessary, but it was mostly just to make it so I feel comfortable taking the Swift. I'm more comfortable taking the Swift here because I know I'm only going to take 1 Bullet Punch at most. And he goes for the catch attempt. I see it coming. Don't take the Bullet Punch as well, which is great for me. And then I throw the Disarming Voice, which of course hits pretty significantly harder than the Chilling Water with that same type attack bonus. And I think it's also just a base power, a little bit stronger of an attack. And we take a 2-0 victory against Spartan. This is best of 5. Sets up. Can we win our 5th regional title here? Can we do it in a sweep? Caesar against Furret. Pretty neutral lead. And look at a sneak peek at the back lines. Gorgeist goes crazy. I went back to my game 1 line here in game number 3. Keeping my main core of Caesar and Guzzlord. He shields the Trailblaze. I understand the value of switch advantage in this matchup, so I shield. He comes in Stunfisk. I decide to build up energy, and I catch. I mean, the catch doesn't really matter a whole lot here because he would throw Mud Bomb anyway, even if I had swapped right away. But I feel like saving that Night Slash for me is going to be useful. He goes for Mud Bomb. I'm just going to focus on my timing here. And I end up making a play that you could classify as a mistake, but I think it was more so just the safe play. So I throw my Seed Bomb here as Furret swaps back in since there's that little bit of a desync in the switch clock. Seed Bomb connects. Now I could have swapped Guzz here, which probably would have been the better decision, knowing how safe Guzz is. But I think I was slightly afraid of like Altaria in the back. And by switching Guzz, if like I was doing myself a disservice. But by staying in, I give him like the free opportunity to just get rid of my Gorgeist here. Whereas like 1 Incinerate from Gorgeist on Caesar would have been so nice. But I know my Guzz is safe, and then his final Pokemon, the Caesar, is revealed. I actually, you may have not noticed, but I think I waited a split second here to see what came in case I wanted to swap. And because of that, in this moment, I recognize I need to throw after 4 Dragon Tails because I waited for a split second. Throwing after 4 Dragon Tails is actually going to be proper timing in a sense because I waited. Otherwise, if I did after 3, I'd give him a full sneak. That may not make a lot of sense since but that is what happened there. And then this, I was pretty proud of this play. It had already been revealed that I won CMP against his Caesar earlier. So I swap. I already have the Night Slash, keep in mind. I already have the Night Slash, but I know he's probably going to want to do 1 and throw against my Guzzlord. So I swap. I do 1 and throw, winning the CMP and essentially wasting his Night Slash onto my Caesar, where I can now let this go. And I feel like I can close this game out with my Guzzlord. He does have a lot of energy on the Stunfisk, but I'm still at like over 50% on my Guzz, where I can simply let 1 go, shield 1, and I know the Caesar doesn't have a move. So I shield this, 1 more Dragon Tail. I have the Sludge Bomb as well, which almost certainly would knock out, but I'm not taking any chances for content. And Brutal Swing knocks out and delivers us our 5th regional title in 5 seasons now of Play Pokemon, which is pretty dang cool. Now, when I won, I have to say it was kind of like somber and a little bit, and understandably so, because I was the outsider coming from the United States in a tournament in Mérida, Mexico. And most of the crowd, of course, is going to be rooting for Spartan, and rightfully so. He seems like a really nice guy, and he's come really close a few times. And I think for him, it's only a matter of when, not if, he captures his first title. It's his 3rd time in 2nd place, which I know how it feels. I've been 2nd place 3 times in my career as well. But he is a tremendous player, and it felt a little bit like somber. Like there wasn't much of a loud applause, right? At least I didn't hear it like when I won, and people were kind of more so, consoling him after the loss, and then kind of congratulating me after, and being really nice about it. So it was a great match, and I don't know, man. Sometimes you get these feelings of when things are going to go right, and I can't necessarily say I felt that way like coming into the tournament, but going into day 2, I did feel pretty good. I felt pretty confident, as opposed to like other day 2s, where sometimes you're not so sure about your matchups or your team. And I felt like my team was just a good meta read going into this tournament, and especially day 2, it seemed to prove that way, where I felt like I had kind of the upper hand in a lot of these matchups. And yeah, proud of how I played. Ended up getting dinner with some friends. Shout out to Obed, who was probably the main reason I even registered for this tournament. I wasn't planning on going at first, and I registered kind of late because he was kind of encouraging me to go. It was back-to-back weeks with Toronto. Got dinner with Pocket, with Obed, with Arrow, and with Dr. Roast Beef. And had a nice dinner and everything. And, I was supposed to fly out the next morning, but what ended up happening was our flights got canceled, Arrow and I, back to Dallas. So we had to kind of figure things out, and we were, the running joke became we were stranded, right? We were stuck in Mexico, or stuck in Cancun, because that's where we had to go fly out of, since Mérida Airport didn't have any flights till Friday to Dallas. So we had to go to Cancun, which was kind of a blast. Can I get where's my phone? Back up here. And yeah, it's us on the beach in Cancun, and we got to see some cool sights. We went to Uxmal. How's it hanging? And this museum that featured some animal exhibits. These are like wild rescue monkeys. You can hear them like growling. There's like a Pokemon themed store in Cancun, Jaguar, and then some more like Mayan ruins and stuff. And ended up being pretty dang cool. That's me, Obed, who I was just talking about, and Morato after the tournament. And yeah, man, that's all I got for you. It's pretty cool to keep the streak going. It's my first time winning in a tournament, right? That didn't have like an official broadcast, but luckily the games were streamed. So huge shout out to Karma Beam and the event organizers for like finding a way to stream the matches so I can cover them. um, and just feel really appreciative. Um, yeah, I feel like in these types of videos, I talk about, like my mindset and everything, and sometimes, and I guess I don't feel the need to get into it like too much into specifics, but last year I felt like there were some things that kind of affected me and were kind of weighing on me, some external noise, sometimes, when I'm self-aware enough to know that like, this is a niche thing, and in my daily life, right, no one is aware of me and like what I do, but like you could say within the context of Pokemon Go PvP, right, maybe I'm one of the more high profile or well-known people. And sometimes that comes with like pressure, and you hear people say things like, oh, he's not on the same level as this guy or that guy, or he's like overrated or that. And I think I started to let some of that stuff like get to me last season, when you have like those high expectations. And I think I've done a really good job this season at just kind of taking a different mental approach where I'm not doing it for anybody but for me in terms of competing, and I'm not really looking at comparing myself to anyone or these top 10 lists that people come up with. Like, I know when I play at my best, I'm really damn good and I'm difficult for people to beat. So that's just what I've been trying to do, and I think it's reflected in my last few performances where this season I've placed top 4 in 3 of my 5 tournaments. So I have 3 medals in 5 tournaments, which I think is pretty impressive and something I'm proud of. And yeah, it's just the game, right? It's just the game, but I feel like this game is, it's like a little microcosm of life where you get knocked down and you have to pick yourself up and try to figure out a way to do better next time. And I think when it comes to the record, wait, I still have my thing up. Let me get rid of that. When it comes to the record of only player to win a regional every season, right? I'm the first one to say it's a very unique record because the first season there was a shortened season due to the pandemic, and one of the main reasons I am the one with this record is because I won in that first season where there's only so many tournaments, right? There was only Indianapolis, Vancouver, Milwaukee, which I won in NAIC. So the only people from North America, at least, that could even possibly have this record are, King, Cindy, myself, and it's Axon. So like that's a main reason I have this record. There are people like Dunebug who have won every single season since then. Pocket was in the seniors division that first year, has won every single season since then. So like I'm well aware, and I'm the first one to say it's like a unique record that is in large part due to the fact that I won in that first season. That being said, I'm the one with the record, baby. And when people try to like discredit it, that to me just kind of comes off the wrong way. Because I've heard people, kind of try to discredit it for that Milwaukee tournament. But like the Milwaukee tournament's the one I'm the most proud of out of all of them. Because if you look back at my run in that tournament, I went through like 6 different players that hit number 1 in the world on the global leaderboard at the time. Like it was a gauntlet of a group and a bracket I went through, and I just felt like I willed my way to victory in a really difficult matchup against Dunebug in the finals. That's the one I'm most proud of out of all of them, if some people want to like discredit it. And overall, like I get so much love from you guys, and I'm not afraid to say like I'm really proud of my achievements and my accomplishments in Pokemon Go PvP. And I don't think that is like a cocky thing to say. I think it's kind of the opposite. Is like I enjoy this competition in this game, and I always like to be respectful and humble in victory, humble in defeat. But like I'm really proud of what I've accomplished as a battler, even if it's just a video game. And I'm a big picture guy, right? I like winning is great and all. Here's the thing. As we wrap this up, like winning is great and all, but I am a big picture guy, and I think about like when I have a wife and kids, hopefully one day, I'm 27 years old. Are they really going to care about how many Pokemon tournaments I won or how many championships I won in this game? Like probably not, right? But I think they'll care about how, I conduct myself, how I treat people, if I have class, if I'm an honorable man. And those are things I think are more important. And I'm far from perfect in a lot of ways, but like those are things I try to strive, and I realize I'm like a figure in this within the small community, and I try to, you know, carry myself as someone that people would, you know, respect. And I think that's the more important thing than winning these Pokemon tournaments. But I'm a competitor and I like to win, and I think I speak for a lot of people in this game that, like, you know, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to be the very best, and you can attribute that to the whole Pokemon thing, or just like life in general, trying to be the best version of yourself. And to come full circle with the point I think I was trying to make was like, that was kind of my mindset coming into this season, is I'm just trying to be the best version of me as a player, as a person, and not worry about what other people think or where I'm ranked or whatnot, or compare myself to anyone else, because the only person that I'm competing against these days is me. And I think that's helped me fare well, at least early on so far in this season. If you guys enjoyed this video, it's a long one. If you made it till the end, you're kind of a beast. Like, you're kind of him or her. I hope you did enjoy it. Leave a like if you want. Comment down below. Your comments are appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. All that said, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.